Hi, my name is Gideon Nonsu. I'm a PhD student in public policy. I'll be presenting on the topic of the quality of life impact on economic growth. While many of us would think that economic growth is only measured through productivity and the gross domestic product, however, many scholarship recognizes that human quality of life is the central driver rather than just the final result of economic performance. This is the basis of my research question. How does the quality of life impact on economic growth? The dependent variable of this research is economic growth, while the independent variable consists of a quality of life key indicator. The theoretical framework for examining the impact of the quality of life on economic growth is grounded in human capital theories, development economics, and policy analysis perspective that view human well-being as a productive economic asset. This study assumes that improvement in quality of life indicators such as education, healthcare access, life expectancy, employment opportunities, environmental and living conditions enhance individual capabilities, productivity, and innovation, which ultimately stimulate sustained economic growth. The anticipated theoretical significance is reframing economic growth debate by positioning quality of life as a driver rather than a consequence of development. Weimer's insight from policy analysis, concept, and practice further highlight that public policies promoting health education and environmental sustainability function as a growth-enhancing strategies. Therefore, this framework contributes to policy and development scholarship by connecting welfare, economics, and growth theory, offering a comprehensive explanation of sustainable economic advancement. This research advances the following hypothesis. Number one, higher level of access to education positively influence economic growth through increased labor productivity and innovation. 2, increased life expectancy and healthcare access contribute to sustain economic growth by improving workforce participation. 3, higher income levels and employment stability promote economic expansion through increased consumption and investment. 4, improve environmental and living conditions enhance economic growth by reducing health costs and productivity losses. For this research to generate meaningful and valid contributions to the existing body of scholarship, careful conceptualization and measurement of variables are necessary to translate the abstract relationship between quality of life and economic growth into empirically testable proposition. In this study, the dependent variable, economic growth, is conceptualized as the sustained expansion of a country's productive capacity and economic performance over time. It is operationalized using measurable indicators such as the GDP growth rate, the GDP per capita growth, labor productivity, and national income expansion. However, the operationalization of economic growth presents few methodological challenges. First, the GDP-based measures may inadequately reflect inclusive or sustainable growth because they often mask income inequality, regional disparities, and informal economic activity. Second, short-term fluctuation in GDP growth may result from external shock or policy changes rather than structural improvement linked to quality of life conditions. Third, relying on a single indicator risk oversimplifying the multidimensional nature of economic development. To address this limitation, this study adopts a multidimensional operationalization strategy informed by prior empirical literature. Existing studies such as those by Barrow and Sterling emphasize combining the GDP growth with GDP per capita and productivity indicator to better capture long-term welfare enhancing growth. The independent variable, which is the quality of life, is conceptualized as a multidimensional construct reflecting human well-being and living standards. It is measured through key indicators related to educational access such as literacy rate, school enrollment, and average years of schooling, indicators related to health outcomes such as life expectancy, infant mortality rate, and healthcare access, and indicators related to socioeconomic conditions such as income level, employment rate, poverty reduction, and indicators related to environmental and living conditions, such as access to clean water, housing quality, pollution exposure, and availability of urban infrastructure. Because quality of life is complex and difficult to measure directly, this study relies on composite measurement techniques validated in previous literature of Barrow and Sterling, including Human Development and Wellbeing Framework. Valid research requires appropriate data sources. This research relies on cross-national and longitudinal data sets from institutions such as the World Bank Group, the World Health Organization, the United Nations Development Program, and the Department of Labor. Observable implications derived from the hypothesis include measurable patterns. Countries experiencing improvement in healthcare access should display increased productivity growth within subsequent years. Similarly, investment in education should correlate with technological advancement and higher innovation output. King and Cohen and Weber argue that observable implications connect theory and evidence, allowing researchers to evaluate whether predicted outcomes materialize in real-world cases. As an example, South Korea post-1960 development strategy prioritized education and public health alongside industrialization. Rising literacy and life expectancy preceded rapid economic expansion, illustrating how quality of life improvement can generate growth. As for the research method, this study adopts a mixed method comparative approach combining quantitative analysis with qualitative case studies. Qualitative regression analysis evaluates statistical relations between quality of life indicators and economic growth across countries. Qualitative process examines causal mechanisms within selected cases. Discussing the policy analysis and practical implication, Wimmer and Vining emphasizes that policy analysis seeks solutions to collective problems through evidence-based decision-making. If quality of life significantly influences economic growth, then social policies should be interpreted as economic strategy rather than welfare expenditures. For example, the COVID-19 pandemic provides a recent illustration. Countries with a resilient healthcare system experience faster economic recovery because healthier population return to productive activities sooner. These outcomes demonstrate how social resilience translates into macroeconomic stability. Policy implications therefore include prioritizing human capital development, strengthening public health infrastructure, promoting equitable employment opportunities, and improving urban living conditions. This research design demonstrates several important strengths. Its integration of qualitative and quantitative methods reflects the methodological rigor recommended by King, Cohen, and Weber, allowing stronger causal inference through triangulation of evidence. Despite this strength, few weaknesses remain. A major limitation involves reverse causality, since economic growth may itself improve quality of life rather than the reverse. This can be addressed through longitudinal or time series analysis that examines whether improvement in education or healthcare precedes growth outcomes. Another weakness concerns measurement challenges, as quality of life is multidimensional and difficult to capture using single indicators. To improve this research validity, employing composite indices such as the Human Development Index alongside disaggregated variable can improve validity. To conclude, this research demonstrates that quality of life constitutes a fundamental driver of economic growth rather than merely a consequence. Access to education enhances innovation, healthcare, improves labor productivity, Socioeconomic stability stimulates investment, and environmental quality sustains long-term development. This research suggests that nations seeking durable economic expansion must prioritize policies that promote living standards. Thank you. I look forward for your question.